For now, here's what we're going to find out. The folks under the most pressure entering Week 11. It also serves as a way to preview some of the upcoming games. Big Cat has the trivia question, I assume. I will probably get it wrong, and then he will get the first pick. What do you got?
Okay, this is a good one. The Browns have now defeated the Ravens and the Steelers this year. When was the last time they beat them both in the same season since coming back into the league in 1999?
2014.
Never.
Never.
They've never done it.
That's a trick question. That's a trick question.
And actually, the way Stats
How am I
phrased
supposed
it,
to know?
Stats is great at this, but he didn't even have to do the coming back from 1999 because obviously the Browns never played the Ravens before 1999.
Right.
So the Browns have never beaten the Ravens and the Steelers in the same year.
Am I supposed to remember the results of 4 different games from every year for 20 years?
Yeah, correct.
I strenuously object. Go ahead, make the first pick.
I mean, you could have done some. Yeah, there it is. I like that sound effect.
Stop it.
Mike, how about the fact that
you're all fired? You're all fired.
Don't actually stop doing the crying baby. This is triggering to me because my baby does cry. Listen, Mike, there's 4 Super Bowls that the Steelers and the Ravens have won in that time frame. The Browns have been terrible. Use your brain. Okay. My first pick is going to be Jacksonville,
Actually 3, but
Indy.
that's all right.
No. The Ravens have won 2. And the Steelers have won 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Man, this is just...
The Steelers were in a third. I was confusing 1995 with 2005. Sorry, I'm getting old.
The trivia question could have been, Mike, how many Super Bowls have the Ravens and Steelers won since 1999? And you would have gotten that wrong. I am wiping the floor with you today. Okay, first up. What I just said is correct. First up, I'm going to say... Indianapolis, Jacksonville, I'm going to pick both sides, so it's going to be the entire game. This is, we just talked about it, a loser leaves town game for the Rams-Bears. The loser of this game feels like they will be on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoff picture in a month and a half's time. The Colts lose a game they never, ever should lose against Miami at home. The Jags have been sputtering. They're off of a bye. This game, it feels like once it happens on Sunday, we're going to, the winner, say, hey, look out for this team. The loser, they might be done. And the Colts were horrendous against the Dolphins. I don't know what Brian Hoyer can do. He's got to do better than that. I know that they've dealt with a lot of things this year. I know, obviously, Andrew Luck and Jacoby Brissett now getting hurt. But you got to find a way to win that game if you want to be in the playoff picture come late December. So I'm saying pressure game for both sides.
For me, the big pressure is on Jason Garrett, the Cowboys head coach, because in one moment on Sunday night when they had those 2 ridiculous running calls, when they had 2nd and 2 or 3 from the Minnesota 11, they called a run to Ezekiel Elliott. It didn't work. Another run to Ezekiel Elliott went backward. 4th down, they didn't get it. The Vikings win the game. The Cowboys fall to 5-4. They're in a tie now with the Eagles. You look at the schedule the rest of the way. I'd give the Eagles the edge to win that division. And I think if you don't win the NFC East, you're not getting in the playoffs as a wild card. And if the Cowboys don't get in the playoffs as a wild card, Jason Garrett's out of a job. So every game the rest of the way, intense pressure on Jason Garrett, especially in games that he should win. They are becoming the ultimate team this year that wins the games that they should and that loses the games that they should. When they come up against a good team, they lose. But for their loss to the Jets, that pattern is held. I don't know where this one fits. They probably should win this game. And if they don't, it throws everything off. They fall to 5-5. And even though the Eagles quite possibly will lose to the Patriots, this is one of those games that the Cowboys are going to need when it's time to put the schedules up against each other in the end result of the season to see who wins that division. They blow this one, it may increase significantly the chances the Cowboys don't make it to the playoffs, which means Jason Garrett doesn't make it to 2020.
That's a great pick, Mike, and I agree with you. Jason Garrett has a team that is underperforming, underachieving because they have a ton of talent. I'll also throw in there, Mike, this is similar to the Jacksonville-Indy game. I think it's dual-side pressure because Matt Patricia, if his defense can't get fixed quickly, That's going to be a big issue for him because was brought in as a defensive coach. He was brought in as a guy that was supposed to instill, the Patriot way, and it hasn't worked through a year and a half. And I think that Matt Stafford has been fantastic this year, whether he plays or not. He has been awesome. The defense has failed them, and that's Matt Patricia's specialty. So that's a dual pressure game as well. I'll go out to the West Coast, Mike. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is under a little bit of pressure this week. He had a bad game on Monday night. It felt like he was going to throw an interception on every play in those last few drives. Jimmy Garoppolo, the 49ers are such a talented team that they go up and down with where Jimmy Garoppolo can take them. They have all the defensive talent they need. They probably don't have a ton of skill positions, but once they get George Kittle back, who's not going to be playing this week, they have enough. So it's really up to Jimmy Garoppolo, and can he elevate himself to that level? And guess what? His great game was 2 weeks ago against the Cardinals. These Cardinals team he's playing this week. So can he do the same thing he did 2 weeks ago on Thursday Night Football or whatever it was 3 weeks ago and elevate his game after a bad outing on Monday night against the Seahawks?
But you're right. He's got to get it back on track so this doesn't become a trend. And the team is good enough to win plenty of games without him having big performances. He's kind of the Kirk Cousins of the 49ers, where we have the running game, we have the defense. Just don't get in the way. Don't screw things up. And if we're lucky, we won't need you to step up and make big throws in big spots to try to win games. When you look at that last drive they had in overtime, 3 incomplete passes that left plenty of time on the clock for the Seahawks to score the game-winning field goal, but 2 of them were so inaccurate. He had Dante Pettis, he missed him, and he had Deebo Samuel wide open. It would have been walk into the end zone, touchdown, end the game. What a moment that would have been. He underthrew him. So we need to see more from Jimmy Garoppolo, or he really does have to worry about Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch deciding after the season that they can find an upgrade out there and that he's the weak link on a team that otherwise is ready to win a championship. All right, speaking of Kirk Cousins, I hate to pick on him, but I've given him plenty of praise this week. I was torn between Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins. I'm going to go Kirk Cousins because Vic Fangio, the Broncos head coach, swept the Vikings last year when he was the Bears defensive coordinator. And now that Cousins has reversed the narrative as it relates to winning against quality opponents on the road in prime time, you cannot stub your toe against a team you should beat. They're heading into their bye week. Some of these guys may be thinking, let's get this game over with so I can get a few days off. They need to stay focused, and the leadership can't only come from the coaching staff. The quarterback has to hold guys accountable and ensure that everyone is buttoned up and on their P's and Q's and ready to do everything because they are the superior team. But I think back to last year, the Vikings were 17-point favorites against the Buffalo Bills in Week 3. The Bills scored early, and the Vikings could never answer the bell, and the Bills won that game easily. The Vikings need to guard against that. They're double-digit favorites. They should win this game easily. This is a game where the pressure is on Kirk Cousins to not follow his signature win in Minnesota with what would be his signature defeat.
Okay, no surprise here, but I actually had the Vikings in that game against the Bills when they were 17-point favorites and then lost outright. Another good pick, Mike. You're on fire. It does feel like that spot where Kirk Cousins will have a letdown. So to have the momentum going forward going into the bye week is huge. They have some winnable games coming off the bye after they play Seattle, which is going to be tough in Seattle, but they have Detroit and the Chargers after that. My last one, I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints. I think what the Saints do in this bounce back after being embarrassed by the Falcons, who had 1 win before Sunday's game, will be very interesting and indicative of where the Saints season is heading. The New Orleans Saints, I think most people would agree, are one of the cream of the crop teams in the NFC. The New Orleans Saints have also had 3 games this year, Mike, 3 games where their offense has not produced a touchdown. That doesn't feel like a cream of the crop team. So I'm going to think that I'm going to be watching this game this weekend and saying what the Saints do on offense against a very suspect Tampa Bay secondary. Their run defense is very good. Shout out Stephen Shea. But what they do on offense is going to be a huge sign to what comes for the Saints going down the stretch, because this is a game they should win, and they should win easily. And if they don't, there will be a lot of questions going here, and Teddy Bridgewater was undefeated as a starter, may I remind you. So let's see how this goes. All right,
and that's a good pick, and I agree with you completely. And the last one for me, I know, we are getting along. We fought so much for the first hour and a half. We got to try to mend fences so we don't end up sending each other profane text messages on Friday night. So, not that we've ever done that, but who knows. I don't think he's ever made an appearance on this draft, and I'm reluctant to even do it, but I have to put Bill Belichick on the list, and here's why. Look, lost by 17 to the Ravens the last time we saw the Patriots. The Ravens are just one game behind them, and the number 1 seed could go away. They may have to go back to Baltimore in the playoffs. And he's got 2 weeks to get ready for the Eagles. The last time he had 2 weeks to get ready for the Eagles, he lost a Super Bowl. This is kind of a shot at redemption, and his defense is better than it was. It can't be much worse than it was that day in Minnesota in February of 2018. But he's got a better defense. The Eagles aren't as good as they were then. It's Carson Wentz, not Nick Foles, but it's still Peterson against Belichick. And the pressure is on Belichick to show that he used that full 2 weeks to address the weaknesses on the team. The offensive line has not been good. Their offense overall has not carried its weight. What has Belichick done, and how is he guarding against what the Eagles may do? Because we talked about this yesterday. I think the Eagles are going to unleash Carson Wentz. They're going to throw caution to the wind. They saw what a mobile quarterback did against the Patriots 2 weeks ago in Lamar Jackson. Forget about Carson Wentz possibly getting injured. For 3 hours on Sunday, let Wentz run circles around the Patriots defense and hope that you can outscore them. So this is going to be a real test for Bill Belichick. And if they lose their second in a row, they really do have to start worrying about whether or not they're going to get that 1 seed. And then you start having to worry possibly about not getting a bye at all and having to host a wild card game to start the playoff run. And the last time they hosted a wild card game, they got blown off the field by the Ravens.
All right, well, Mike, it's a good news is that we're being nice to each other in this segment, because if we weren't, I would probably say that's a terrible pick and you're an idiot, but I'm not going to. So good pick, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.